What's the deal, Instagram? What's the deal, Patreon? Patreon.com/Taylor Durden for all the lives, the archives of the lives. And I have the audio biography on my Patreon as well. I'll be joined today by somebody I've known for a long time, for I think about 25 years or so. And I think it'll be really insightful and interesting to say the least. So just waiting. Okay, cool. She requested, got it. I mean, damn, my live be being dumb. Give me a second, Brax. My live be being, I don't know, for whatever reason, I gotta press this shit like 7, 8 times where it's be being dumb. I've been pressing accept over and over again. It always does me like this. You say one thing about the tiny hat people, and now it just be so difficult sometimes. I'm just maybe I have to request you, Brax. Just give me a second. I'll be doing another live tonight as well. I'm gonna do another one later in the week with Forrest Wilson. But I really feel like this would be a dope one tonight. Said you was unable to join. Let me request you, Brax.
You
good?
I'm good.
Yo,
I'm here. What's going on?
what's going on? I'm sorry about the rest. I'm sorry
Nah,
about
it's
the
all
rest.
good. It's all good. I'm happy to be here. What's going on?
Nothing much, man. Thank you for taking the time. I know you're a very busy individual.
Yes. I'm here.
Um, man, I really I don't really want, like I said, I don't want to put no words in your mouth or how you describe anything, what you're going through or what your life experience has been.
Yeah,
I just wanted to reach out to you because you're the only person I know, like
right.
actually met like that. You know what I mean? That has on that journey. So I figured I wanted to make that bridge and just maybe you could explain your life a little bit. Like I guess your upbringing. I guess we could like talk about. I met you when I was like 11, I think, man. It's
Yeah.
always been mad love. It's always
Yes,
been
of
mad love.
course,
Man.
of
Like
course.
I feel like
Of course. Yes,
you
it
was never,
has.
yeah, you was never hateful to me. So I
No.
feel like I'd like to get a honest take on it. I really wanted to, I guess, pick your brain a little bit and like if you could just talk about, guess what it was like for you growing up and like what you was going through at that time. Like, 'cause I reflect on it sometimes, and I'm like, man, were they going through? Did they know then, or did we both? I just didn't. You know what I mean? I just kind of wanted to know, like, just because I'm so honestly, I really don't. I've never been able to speak to somebody about that.
Yeah. No. These are great. These are great questions. And so just, I guess I'll just let everybody like know who I am. I'm Brax. I'm a trans man. I transitioned when I was 27 years old. So I lived a life as a female for 27 years of my life. And then I made a decision to medically transition. So that just gives you a little bit of backstory because sometimes when people see me, they're like, wait, what? You did what? So it's like one of those type of things. But just touching base, like let's just start from the very beginning. um, you know, I love these conversations because I feel like my experience is so different than what a lot of narrative that you see for like LGBTQ folks or people who are of trans experience. They have like, they're like, I hated my life, I wasn't happy. They have this really negative narrative where they just felt like, they had a really hard time. And I feel like for me, it wasn't like that. Like T, me, like I was always having a good time. I was always happy. I loved you so much. I still do.
No, that's
Um,
what I'm
you
gonna,
know,
that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. Like, I know you got a family that love you. You know what I
yes,
mean?
yes, no, absolutely. And I think that is what made it a lot different for me growing up was because I feel like I feel like I was just always like one of the homies anyway with everybody, like regardless of gender. I just felt like I was always cool with everybody. I really never had a problem. And like when we were growing up, and like I don't even think I thought about those things. And when it came down to like, you know, relationships, or like, you know, people like, oh, this is my boyfriend, this is my girlfriend. I think more or less like in that time period of my life, when I reflect back on it, it was more or less just like trying to fit in during that time, like doing what everybody else was doing, and just kind of being in my childhood um, essence, as you will, you know, because obviously I was born a female, and that's just where my life was. So it wasn't really like I was thinking like I was having like this depressive issue behind closed doors where I'm like, I'm really not happy with this. I'm doing this because of X, Y, and Z. It was never like that for me. It was more or less I was just living my life, feeling things out, and just learning and growing as time went on. Um, and I think that because of the, you know, the area that we grew up in was so diverse, there were so many different gay people, lesbians, this person, that person. And I really never even, you know, it wasn't until honestly that I got to college where people were like telling me that I was gay, right? So I'm like, what? Like I'm confused. Like I'm not gay. I'm just who I am, because I guess I had this androgynous spirit where, you know, like I was like a tomboy kind of, but still, you know, people thought I was really pretty. So it was I lived in this kind of matrix for a really long time where I was just like kind of cooling. And when I got to college, I realized like, oh, well, maybe I am kind of, huh?
You was a hooper.
Yeah, I mean, I was just, you know what I mean? I was just living my life. I really wasn't even thinking about like gender, or like like lesbians or gays. Like I knew I had gay uncles, I had gay friends, I had lesbian friends, but I really never, like as far as high school and before, I never really looked at them like, okay, like two women are having sex together or two men are having sex together. I never, I guess I was really oblivious. I like to call it. I just was just living, because nobody was really down talking that community around me. So I never had like a connotation towards it, I guess. But it wasn't until I got to college where people were like trying to segregate me and put me into this box. Like, no, you know, you do know that you're like this. And I'm just like, what? But like as time went on and I actually, you know, were getting into like more intimate relationships, that's when, you know, I realized like, okay, I do like women. I really do like women. And then that's when I started to like date women, and then like be in this like lesbian, this lesbian like community or whatever. But what's crazy was, is the whole time that, you know, people were telling me that I was gay and I was a lesbian, I never connected with that. Like I never felt like I was gay. Like I just was like, I'm not gay though. Like I don't know why I felt like that, but you know, obviously now I do, but during that period of time, I wasn't connecting with that language, but I didn't have language to explain how I felt either, because I didn't even know about transitioning or transgender people or anything. I honestly thought that while me and you were growing up, I thought that transgender people were drag queens. I like right hand to the Lord. I thought that all transgender people were drag queens,
Yeah.
because that's just what was presented to me, I guess, at that time. So I was very um, just oblivious, I guess, to it. But like I said, I went to college. I was dating women, whatever. They were calling me lesbian. I was like, I guess, like whatever. But I did not feel connected to it. And then, like I guess, like 3 or 4 years later, I was in this long-term relationship with this woman that I was with, and you know, I kept telling her that I felt like something wasn't right, but it wasn't like I was depressed. I just felt like my life, like I like to tell people, I felt like a fetus. Like I felt like I wasn't growing as a woman, and I didn't have that language, but like I just had like extremely small breasts. Like I just felt like extremely, like I just felt like I wasn't growing into as I saw my peers and the other women around me. I felt like I wasn't in the same space that they were in. And it really made me question like like do I need to change my career? I was already a nurse at this time, so I was into my career at 21. So my parents and everybody, they're like, "You're fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, you're making good money. You're doing this. You're doing that." But it was just a part of me that felt like I had this missing piece. So I was like researching everything, trying to just figure out like what can I do next in my life. But I had no idea that it had anything to do with my actual like gender identity because I didn't really know anything about that. But what happened was I stumbled across this YouTube video of this other trans guy, and I'm like, what the fuck is this girl doing? Like, how can you transit? Like this is impossible, pretty much in my brain because I've never seen anything like it. So as I watched the YouTube, like I got really intrigued and I started to listen to other stories and of the other, you know, people who had transitioned, and I started to relate a lot with like how I felt as far as like within my relationship, how like I, you know, like to be touched in the bedroom, how I presented to the world, how I wanted people to see me. You know, there was a lot of different things that, you know, were unknown before I realized that this was an option for me, pretty much. So it took me like, I think it was like 6 months to a year where I really sat down and just kind of did this extreme dive of research into like transgender individuals, what that was, why they were doing it, their stories, like, you know, the medical side of it, of taking testosterone and all these different things. And it just, you know, I was going to therapy. I took myself to therapy for the first time because I was just so involved with it that I felt like this was like what was missing from my life, and that it's like what I needed to like just to become an adult, like just to just move forward with my life. And then I started the hormones like shortly after I had went to therapy, and kind of like everything from my life kind of started to fall in place after that. And I just started to feel just so much more comfortable with who I was, how I was just moving about in the world. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people say that, you know, they feel like, um, you know, like they didn't have a choice. And I kind of feel the same way. Like, I don't want to say I was sitting there contemplating taking my life, but at the same time, I, I wasn't complete. I don't want to say that I was not happy because I was making good money. I was in a good relationship. I was doing the right things. My family loves me. Like I didn't have any major depressive episodes. It was just literally an internal feeling within myself that I just was like, I'm just not right. Like something, it's just like a feeling, you know what I mean? And that's just when I decided to take that plunge. I don't want to talk too much, so you can, you know, ask me whatever.
Yeah, no, no. I mean, I wanted to hear you out. Because like you are a very intelligent person. You know, like
Thank
very
you.
intelligent. I found you to be intelligent from the day I met you. You was bright.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know that's not going nowhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and like I guess like my questions was like, um, was there a point where it was like certainty? Like, did you like question like if it's like if you're being influenced, or if there's like things in the environment influencing you, or like if you just was like, yo, I know, and that's just it.
Uh,
You know what I mean? How you tell you?
yeah,
How
it
you?
was like one of those. I think it was like I don't want to say that I wasn't, you know, because I feel like, you know, outside of transition, just in general, like you know, everybody is influenced by something. You see something and it may inspire you to do something else. So I don't want to say that I was not influenced, because obviously, like I said, I seen the YouTube video, and if I never saw that representation of who I could possibly be, then I probably would be just who I was before and just living that life. You know what I mean? And I would probably still feel that, I don't want to say emptiness, but I would probably still try to be striving for why I felt the way that I was feeling then. Obviously, that I don't feel that now because I decided to transition. But for me, what really made me transition was, like what made me take that step was that I always wanted a family. Like I really always wanted a family. And, you know, it sounds so bizarre, you know, for a lot of people to hear from like a trans person because they're like, oh, you want family, then you should have just stayed. But it's like I couldn't picture myself as a mother. It's so weird. Like I just couldn't be in that role. And like me, like I'm not your, you know, like I always say, I'm not the average trans person because trans people are so progressive. They, you know, they're cool with having like two moms and two dads, which I am too. I totally respect, you know, anyone's decision of life because as long as you're not hurting anybody, I don't give a shit. But for me, like I wanted a traditional lifestyle. Like I didn't want to go in there as two moms. I didn't want to be a butch mom. I didn't want to be this butch mother and like I wanted a mother and father in my household. I wanted that traditional lifestyle, but I just couldn't fit into that mother role like people do. You know, I just couldn't do that. And I think that was really like my big turning point when I was just like I really can't live like this anymore. Like, if I have the option to change and it's going to help me feel better and live the type of life that I want to live, then I'm going to do that. So that's really what pushed me to make the changes because I was just so ready to move forward with my life. Like I said, I felt like a fetus. I felt like I wasn't growing. I felt like I was still 12 and I was 27 years old. And I just felt like I just couldn't push my life forward. And I didn't know why, but once I did transition, it's just like everything in my life started happening. Like everything positive just started to fall in, and my career, just like my life, my family now, my daughter, all the things started to come in once I just felt like I started living like authentically as, you know, as I feel like I should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like um, growing up, you were living with your father. I know that's usually right because you was with your father at the time, right?
Yes, I did. I was raised by, well, I was raised by both of my parents, but I did live with my father my majority of my life. Yes.
Yeah, and like usually that's not the case. I feel like for a lot of people,
Right.
that's like yeah, with
Right.
one
Yeah.
parent, it's usually the mom,
Right.
and
Right. Yeah. And it's
yeah,
crazy because, you know, I mean, I'm not as close as I am with my mother before, not because of my transition, but because of other personal, crazy family bullshit. But, you know, my dad, I was so close with my mom and dad I'm close with both of them still now, but super close with my dad. You know, he's the one that I talk to all the time. But yeah, I never had any like childhood like trauma in regards to that where people would think like, oh, you didn't have a father, so you're trying to be this masculine role for your mom or for your family. You know, it was never like that. And you know my dad, like my dad's not even like that masculine macho man. He's not even like that. I mean, yeah, he gets things done, he does everything around the house, he's always taking care of us, but my dad isn't like the football dad or anything like that. My dad's just really laid back and a chill type of person. So you know, it's just that's why I always say like I feel like my experience is just so different, and that's why I always try to talk about it because I want people to see like everybody who's trans isn't just like a bunch of rainbows and trying to be queer and look one way and enter the women's bathroom or look one way and be into the men's bathroom. Like I'm just trying to live a regular, basic life just like everybody else and just trying to move through that. You know what I mean?
yeah. I just wanted to establish that because I know people don't know, like I mean, like, you come from. I remember you telling me about like times with your mother, and I remember at the time when I knew you as a child, you was with your father. So I knew you had people in your corner that loved you and cared about you, both your parents, and I remember you had a sister. I think do you have any
Yeah.
other? You have more siblings
Yeah,
or just the one?
I do. I have my older sister. We always used to butt heads when we were younger, but now we're the best of friends. So that's really cool too. That we're super close now, and I have a younger brother and a younger sister as well. That are like 11 years younger than me, actually. Yeah.
Because that's what I wanted to ask you. Like when you were telling people about this and like you committed to it, how did they take it? You know, because like did they
Yeah. No.
know you to be
Um.
this?
Not really. Like I think because like my brother and sister, um, they were just so accepting. I don't know if I feel like when it comes to like younger kids or when like just kids in general, like I feel like they're just more accepting. They just accept it. You know what I mean? if you're being coming from a genuine place, then I think that they just accept it. But when it's like, with my parents, I'll tell you what I did. I basically, because I knew I had to tell a bunch of people, my parents are divorced. So what I did was I made a YouTube video and I explained everything in the YouTube video on why I was transitioning, how I was feeling, you know, what I was going through, how I was seeing the doctor. I even left them resources so that they could read into it after the video so that they could fully understand of what I was talking about. I really did a lot of work prior to letting anybody know. This way, when I came to them, I came to them in an appropriate manner to where I felt like they would be able to fully digest it without anybody feeling like emotionally overwhelmed, where they would be asking me crazy ass questions from the jump, because it's just like an emotional heartstring type of thing when you know, when you love someone, you know someone for a long time, and now, you know, especially like my mom or something, you know, she wanted a lot of like feminine things for me, for my sister. That's just how she is. So I knew that it would be a little bit more difficult for her. But what's crazy is that I sent them this video. Everybody at like one time, I just sent the video, and then it was like not even an hour later, everybody called me and everybody was just like, it's all good. Like, it was so cool. Like, it was like the coolest situation. And the only person who cried, and I think this is what brought my dad so close to me, is that my dad like called and he was crying. And then I felt so bad because I'm like, shit, he's disappointed. Like, he's not going to like this. But he literally cried and was just like, I'm sorry that I couldn't do something for you sooner. I wish that you would have been able to explain something to me sooner, because maybe when you were younger you could have been living a different type of life and you would have been happier and things like that. And I told him, I said, Dad, I live a great life. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I lived how I did. I'm so happy I went through what I went through. I think that it's really important for me, you know, to be who I am with what I went through. So it doesn't bother me, but that was really all that happened. He just cried about that and we got over it. And now he's like, you look just like me. So he loves it. So he doesn't care.
So were you ever scared, like leading up to the surgery and everything? Were you like, man, there's no going back from here, kind of, right?
When it came to like, all right, so I only had one surgery. I only had my breast removed. But because, like I said, my chest was already so small, I mean, it was just in the way anyway. And I was already, you know, presenting in this way. So it really wasn't like I was nervous or scared. I was actually honestly just happy to get it over with. But, you know, as far as everything else, I still have all the workings of the female genitals or whatever you want to call it. And a lot of people, you know, I talk about this a lot on like my personal page. That's why I'm so open with it here, because I feel like it's important information. But what people don't realize is that and I'm sure you know, but you know, our bodies are so similar, you know, as far as the female and male genitalia. And when you're on testosterone, you actually have something called bottom growth, where your clitoris actually grows while you're on testosterone. So you can actually have a lot of what they call dysphoria alleviated when you have this bottom growth, because you're able to, you know, be with your partner in certain type of ways where you may have not been able to be with them before that type of growth happened. So for me, like, I've embraced that part of my body. My wife loves that part of my body. So it doesn't bother me. I don't feel the need to go through an extensive surgery where they have to take a piece of skin from my arm or my leg just to make this phallus that I will still ultimately have to, if I wasn't in a relationship, I would have to explain to a woman that I have this neophallus and that this is not, it's, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not here to, this is the truth. You know what I mean? Like, it's, you're going to have to tell people that you got this fake penis on you that they created. It's just something that you can't get around. And if I didn't have to do that, if I could have just been born as a male and just lived my life, I would have been happy with that. But I'm not about to, you know, I don't want to say mutilate my body, because I do respect my community and I do respect those who do make that decision to do that because it's what's best for them. But ultimately for me, I just don't feel like that is something that I'm willing to go through, because I'm happy with who I am. I present to the world as I want to present. Not everybody looks at my genitals. There's only one person who does, and she loves me for who I am, and I'm okay with that. So, it doesn't, of course, I have periods of time where I'm like, damn, I just wasn't like this. But ultimately, it's not something that I think about every single day, and it doesn't hinder my growth and my daily activities.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that. Like, so that was just automatically off the table. Like, you were like, I'm not gonna get the wrist like transplant surgery and or the
Yeah,
leg.
it's just way too much. And you know that I'm a nurse too, so I work with geriatrics. The number one thing in geriatrics is the cause of death is normally sepsis because of infection, and that infection normally comes from a UTI because a lack of knowledge from the people around them. And then obviously, when you're older, you already have confusion, so people don't realize that the confusion is actually started from a UTI originally, and then what happens is that people, you get like catheters and all these other things. And it's just like, I already know how it is for elderly people. I've worked with elderly people for 14 years. I've seen this thing happen, and I'm not about to go rearrange my whole urethra, my sphincter. You already lose this elasticity, through years of aging. I'm not about to go through that and then have to deal with all these later down the line complications just so I can have this phallus I still have to explain to every Tom, Dick, and Harry I run into about it. You know what I mean? So it's just not worth it for me personally. Some people, they don't weigh those risks, they don't think that far ahead. But for me, like, I got to make sure that, overall my health is important to me, and I don't want to go and do something that I'm going to end up having complications later down the line. So yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think, like, as far as like when people like shout, like you were saying, the word's gender dysphoria or dysmorphia? Dysphoria.
Dysphoria.
Okay. So what do you think about that? Like, what do you like as far as like what is your stance, I guess, on like the concept and as far as like trans kids and stuff? Like, I know they kind of thrust you into the argument, don't they? Because I
Yeah,
know you
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. It's really
you
crazy
like to
because
say,
I personally, I really don't talk about this often publicly, but I will with you because I think it's important for people to know and to see my perspective. But, you know, I respect whatever the parent and the doctor wants to do ultimately. That is what I respect because I know trans people who have transitioned at 16 years old and say it was the best thing for them, and they're now 35 years old. So I do feel like it's a decision between the parent and the child and the doctor. But ultimately, if I actually would rather children wait until they are over 18 years old to make such decision for their life. I just feel like it's a process. I feel like that it's important that our minds change so much. Like, and I guess that's because it's my own personal perspective, and because I transitioned at 27 years old, I was able to go through so many different things, and I just feel like you have to learn yourself first. And I really felt like I took the time to learn myself. I felt like I took the time as an adult to understand first the decision that I was making before saying, you know what, I feel like a tomboy at 14 years old. I like to hang out with all the boys. I just want to be a boy right now. Like, I just, something with my soul doesn't sit with that. I don't want that, for children. But I do understand that there are certain circumstances where the children are very young and they are presenting in a very, very certain way. And like I said, I think that's a situation for their doctor, their parent, and it should be very private. I don't think it should be publicized. I think it should just be something that they do within their own home and continue moving forward. But again, at the same time, I also feel like hormones and all that stuff at before age, I I just don't. I feel like, I don't know if it's because I'm older. I just don't feel like the kids should be doing that. I'm about leaving it out of the kids. I'm about leaving it away from the children 100%.
so like, okay, so like, but okay, on a personal level, do you think like if somebody had like if you had seen that video as a, like as a youth, that you saw?
Right.
You think it would have alleviated you? Like, would you been like, all right, let's do it now? Would you have done it sooner? Like,
Really
would it have
hard.
liberated you?
It's so hard because so naive back then. So my brain wasn't even functioning properly. I feel like I can't even make. I feel like it's different now when we grew up versus how kids are growing up now because of the social media and the access that they have to everything. So I feel like they know a lot more than what we knew. So it's so hard to make that decision or to say how I would feel. Like I think, like I remember like laying in my bed when I was younger. Like I have five other god brothers that I grew up with too, and I love them, and I always wanted to be like them. And I remember telling myself in my bed late at night when the rain was raining and like being like, I just wish I could just be like them. I remember telling myself that, but it wasn't in a way where I wish I could change my gender. Like it wasn't in a way where I was like, I'm gonna turn into this whole boy. It was just I just wanted to be like them. I just wanted to be accepted as they were accepted, and it was okay to get dirty, ride the quads, bullshit around, and just be like them. It wasn't in a way where I was like, I'm gonna change my gender. You're gonna respect my pronouns and all these other demands that they're doing now. I just wanted to be like them. And I think that because my family was so like, go ahead and play, go ahead and cut the hedges, go ahead and cut the grass, it was okay, and I was alleviated of those feelings that maybe someone who grew up with a parent was like, no, you're a girl, you're going to wear these dresses, no, you are not going outside to cut that grass, don't touch my lawnmower, like you're going to go to this ball and do this ballet. Like because I didn't have that force on me, I had such freedom as a child. I feel like it allowed me to really just embrace who I was and learn that in a slow process rather than rushing into transition.
Yeah, I mean, you're a strong person. One day I remember like, cause I hadn't known that this was all happening, that you had, went through this process, and then that, you was on the Shark Tank and all of that. And I remember I texted you because, like, you used to help me out, give money, and I texted you like, "Yo, what's up?" And I called you by your old name, and you was like, "Yo, it's not that no more." I was like, "What? All right, you know what I mean? You call yourself whatever you want to call yourself." I didn't even know until
Right.
like later on I seen your Instagram. And I was like, oh, okay, damn, I didn't even know. Like, I would have, I would have never stepped and pressed that button like that. But I wanted to ask you, um, I guess like, have you lost people? Because I remember like when you were, like you were saying, I guess like in the quote unquote like lesbian phase or whatever you want to call that, like
Yeah.
you were with that woman for a while, like,
Yes, I was. We were for 10 years. Yeah, we were together for a while. I don't think I lost her because of that. We had so many like just regular basic lesbian crazy female problems that just you know what I mean that we had just for being together for so long and being so young being together. But you know what's crazy is that one thing about her, she's crazy as hell, still crazy to this day, God forbid. But she was so respectful. That is one thing I will give her. She was so like the moment that I actually she was the one that was like, do you want to transition? And I remember to this day I was like, hell no, I don't want to do that shit. Like I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. But she knew in my heart, she could see in my eyes that I was so invested into it that she was like, if that's something that you want to do, like I support you. Like she was so supportive through the whole entire thing. I will give her all of the credit for that because she never like once I decided to say, okay, I am doing this, she immediately like switched with names and with the pronouns. Like she was just so respectful right off the bat, and she always has been. So that's one thing that I will give her is that she never disrespected me. I really honestly been extremely blessed where I don't think there's been anybody in my life that didn't respect me. And the only person who like continuously misgendered me was my grandma. And she passed away at 103 years old. But it was crazy because she was like, "You always be my little girl. I love you." All this stuff, which was fine. She was like 100 or like 98 years old, and I was like, "Grandma, you can call me. I'll be freaking Toodaloo for you. I don't care."
yeah,
But what was crazy is that I ended up moving back home for a period of time after my transition when I had broke up with that girl, or she broke up with me, and my grandma, she could not help but to start using the proper pronouns because she just saw me as you see me now. So it was hard for her to even continue calling me by like my original name. She calls me Todd, which is my dad's name. I think that that was with the age and all that too. But she just like she started to really respect me, and even when she introduced me to people, she said her grandson and stuff like that. So she was the only person in my life that gave a little bit of kickback. And because we ended up living together for a short period of time after I transitioned, it was like she couldn't even help but to just, because of how I was looking. So I think it was just one of those things, but it never bothered me because I knew her age, her religion, her thoughts about it. So I automatically was okay with still being she, her, and being called Tierra and all that. I was totally accepting of that.
Yeah, she's grandmother then, I guess, but
Yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah.
it's been more love than hate. Like because I was wondering, man, like you're like a face for the community in a lot of respects, man. I mean, you got a nice size following, and you had some real mainstream exposure and success. And
Yeah,
I was wondering, like, because I be getting hate, and I'm not even doing stuff like, I guess that could really rub too many people the wrong way. So I'm like, man, I
yeah.
wonder what, like, I guess does the love outweigh the hate, like in the situation that you're going through, like, but nobody really could hate you, even whatever you wanted to be, whatever you
Right.
wanted to be. I don't think
Yeah,
anybody could
I
hate
don't.
you.
It's so crazy. People always say they always tell me that I'm different. They're Brax, you're different. You're okay. You're okay. I'm like, I'm really just like them, but I think that well, I'm not like them. A lot of them. I'm not like a lot of them. But the thing is that I just live like I just want to live like a regular life. Like I'm not trying to change. I'm not trying to like. I just want to. I transition to fully transition, not to be halfway, not to say, oh yeah, well some days I feel like this and some days I feel like that. You know what I mean? And I think that's what confuses a lot of people, and I feel like that's why there's a lot of uproar around our community right now, is because there's a lot of confusion with like non-binary and the they them community and things like that, which I try not to get too much involved in because that's not my lane, and I there's a lot of things I don't even understand, but I just respect it because I feel like if an individual is just wanting to live their life a certain way and it's not harming anybody and you're not pushing your agenda on anybody, then I don't think it's a problem. But I just like when it comes to the kids and stuff, I just think that it should stay out of the kids. I think it just should stay away from the kids. Yeah, that's it.
So yeah, because I guess that's like it's hard to draw a hard line, and
It's
because you
so
don't want to
it
rub
really
anybody
is
the wrong way.
so hard. It's so hard. It is so hard because there's just so many different avenues on it, and there's just so many different, people's perspective on their lives and their personal experiences that, that they feel, a certain way. Like me personally, with my daughter, she knows that well, I tell her, but, she's only 2 years old, so what does she really know? But I don't force it on her. I just kind of, in conversation, or like if we're talking or she sees me with my medication or something, I'll explain to her like why I take this and who I am and stuff like that. But I always like me, I feel like those things should just stay in the home. You know what I mean? I don't think that it should be something that should be, I'm not saying it shouldn't be taught in schools. Yeah, you should learn about gender identity when you're in high school, not when you're 4 and 5 and 6 and kindergarten and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that there's just a certain way you should just go about it.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine there's a lot of different camps
Yeah.
within the community because like what some people would say, like they were born in like the wrong body, or they say like their soul is a man or their soul is a woman,
I
or like
literally just had this conversation with my lady earlier, and they probably freaking ripped me alive for this if this was on my page. But me personally, like, I don't. I my brain is telling me that I am living in the wrong body, right? There's something in my brain. There has to be. There has to be something that's off in my brain that makes me feel more comfortable living in this body versus the body I was born in. Like, it's my only logical, like, way of thinking for me personally that, makes any sense. Like, a lot of trans people feel like, I was born in the wrong body, but I don't have any mental problem. There is no issue going on with me. I was just born in the wrong body and that's just it. Like, no. Like, obviously there's something that misclicked there, or that makes you feel, you should be identifying and presenting and looking as the opposite gender. Like, there just has to be. Me personally, I don't know what the fuck is wrong, but I'm glad that's the only thing wrong with me. I could be fucked up in a lot of other ways, but I just think that they're scientifically, me, like I believe in God. You know what I mean? Like, I believe that I was made this way for a reason. I feel like, I don't know why that reason is or why I'm in the position I'm in, but I just feel like this is just the way that my life was just supposed to go, and that's just it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, I see your page. It says God first, right?
Of course, always, all day.
Yeah, because like so do you think I don't want to put words in your mouth, but do
Okay.
you think like you think like is it like a dissociation thing, or what? Like how would you describe it? Something being wrong? Like, what do you? Like, how
So
would you
weird.
personally?
It's so weird because, like, I really don't know. I really don't know. I don't have the data, or, you know, I don't, I really don't know. And that's what, like, when I think about myself, or when I think about, my identity, I'm like, is there something really wrong with me? Like, is there something wrong, or was I supposed to be born this way? And, like, or like, I really have, it's such a hard question to answer because I don't know. All that I do know is that I feel so much more comfortable like this. And, I feel like my life has projected since I transitioned. And I also feel like, a part of me feels like this journey, like, even talking to you right now, even just reaching people to show people, like, yes, you can identify this way, you can still love God, you can still, you know live a regular life. And I feel like maybe I was chosen to be in that position to do that, to show people that. I don't know why. I just know that I just try to fall in line with how I feel on the inside, and I just try to, you know, give off that positive energy to other people. You know what I mean? Other than that, that's really all I can give you.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, like regardless, man, whatever man or woman, like you've helped me. However you want to look at it, like individuals have done me wrong and and owed me. I look, you never owed me nothing, and you helped me before. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's always been like you've always been, it's always been love with you. So
Always.
that's why I really don't think there's anybody else I can speak to about this
Right.
because I just don't know how they would get because I know people kind of get defensive about it, you know,
Yes. Yes.
it's gonna seem like I'm prying and ask. I don't want to ask the wrong questions, but I want to know because I don't want you to be just something I'm ignorant to,
Yeah.
and so and I and at the end of the day, like you're a whole person, like you know what I mean, regardless, like so
Amen.
when it comes to like when it comes to your child, like, did you go the route of like you taking your egg and putting it in the other woman, or how did y'all do that?
So no, so actually, my daughter is of my wife's egg, and we have a donor. The donor just looks like literally identical to me, which is really crazy because it's
Yeah,
hard to find someone that looks this good. You know what I mean? But no, I'm just fucking around.
yeah,
But no, seriously,
you're a good looking dude,
I
man. You're a
appreciate
good
that. I
looking.
appreciate
Yeah.
that. But yeah, no, my daughter, she was born through IVF with my wife's egg and a donor, and it's really crazy because my wife actually has two older sons from obviously a previous relationship, but she had an issue where she could not get pregnant naturally because she had blocked fallopian tubes. So no matter what we would have had to go, even if I was like a, like yourself, you would still have to go, she would have to still go through the IVF process in order for her to conceive a child again. So yeah, it was pretty crazy that that happened like that. But yeah, it's my wife's egg.
Yeah, I mean, like I know, regardless, like of what maybe there's shitty parents out there that's heterosexual, you know what I
But
mean, or however you want to look at it, or
right,
like cisgendered, I guess you could say, right?
yeah,
But like I know that if you care about somebody, like you're gonna take care
oh,
of them. So I
oh
think
yeah,
that I don't know, like it, as much as like you can have a conversation with a stranger or whatever and they'll judge people and stuff.
right.
I'm like, man, I know Brax is out here doing whatever Brax got to do to make ends meet and take care of the child and everything. So
Oh
there's
yes,
plenty of
oh
people out
yes,
there's plenty
oh
of people out here
yes.
not taking care of their baby mom and not taking care of their children.
Oh yeah,
So,
no, I take care of my baby, okay? And not only that, but it's a lot different because, my daughter, it's not like it's different when like you meet a lady, she already is pregnant, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna be the daddy of that baby, and I'm gonna be there, which people do, and I respect it, and they are the daddy, especially if they're there from day one. But for me, like I literally watched her from a cellular level. Like we literally have like her egg when they had like assisted hatching, the insemination. I mean, everything down to the donor. Like I was so involved that, there's really nobody can say, oh, that's not your daughter. I mean, you can say it all you want, but at the end of the day, she knows who takes care of her. So, you know, it really doesn't bother me none. I just make sure that I take care of my daughter and that she's healthy, and that's all I care about.
yeah, that's all that matters. So
Yeah.
do you think that that she'd be more prone to want to transition herself, or do you just think that people are what they are and it don't matter? Like if they grow up in a loving household, they're gonna be who they are.
No, I think that she's going to be who she is. I don't think that my life would influence her to transition because she don't see me like that. Like everybody online sees me like, oh, Brax, you trans because I promote that my business, all the things. But in real life, she just sees me as her daddy. She don't see me because we're not sitting here talking about my transition every day. Like I said, it's a very regular life. She see me taking the trash out, making sure her mom is good, putting gas in the car and stuff like that. She not really, she don't see any other way. She don't see. She just sees a regular household. She's not hearing all the trans conversations and of course, with my business and like I said, from time to time, if I want to sit down and break something down to her, I do that so that the conversation is never harsh for her. I never want her to feel like she's been living in a lie. I don't ever want her to feel like she doesn't understand who I am. And one day she goes out into the world and someone says, you do know that your dad was born a female or whatever. And she's like, no, I want her to be fully educated. I want her to totally understand who I am as an individual, and I teach her that in like you call it microdosing, for her age and for her capacity, so that when she does get a little bit older and those conversations do get a little bit deeper, or maybe she has questions for me, it's not going to be a foreign topic. It's going to be something that she grew up with, that she's familiar with, and that she's just like, yeah, my dad is trans, and I really don't give a shit. Like that's the type of attitude that I'm trying to build her up for, so that obviously, because we do know that the hate comes, like you said, and people are going to talk and people say things. So, I want her to be, prepared for those type of conversations and understand that the world may not love daddy like you do, but I want you to understand who I am from me first.
Yeah. Yeah. Yush man said, he said he loves us, man. Love you too, Yush
Yes,
man.
yes, yes. I love you, bro. You know that I love you.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
that. You know
Yeah,
that.
man. Yeah,
Yes.
I know you're short. I know you're short on time,
Yeah.
and that you got to tuck the little one in the
Yeah.
bed and everything. I
On
guess.
the bench
I
just
guess.
a few minutes.
I was gonna say. I guess if you want to just explain your company or your products, and
Sure. Sure.
I
Yeah.
guess
So
you
because of my
the Shark Tank winner right here. You know what I mean?
yeah, 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 that shit's crazy. It's such a weird thing. I'm just like bleh. I'm so like nonchalant about Shark Tank because it was a long process to get on there. But real quick, my business is called Stealth Bros and Co. It's a luxury medical doc kit company that provides storage solutions for underrepresented communities. And I created that brand really just based off of my own need because I needed somewhere to put my own medication when I started the HRT. And I realized that so many people in my community didn't have a space for it either. And with my nursing background, I was like, that's not safe with like needles and stuff. So that's when I created this brand. And what happened is as I was, uplifting the community, I was also telling people like at my job, at my workspace, and they were like, oh, well, my dad's a diabetic. People are going through like, different type of chronic illnesses that need somewhere to hold their medication while they travel or at home. And then that's where I really realized that I was really feeling like this big void within multiple communities. So that's kind of when I just went all in and started to join like different businesses of commerce and just doing a lot more networking, which ultimately I think led me to having the opportunity to be on Shark Tank because I didn't apply to be on Shark Tank. They actually called me and asked me if I wanted to apply to be on, and then I applied. But I think it was because I did a lot of different networking opportunities. Like I was on ABC Visions. I did interviews with like TD Bank and the USPTO office. Like I did a lot of different things leading up to that point, to where when they reached out, I think it was just because they see my face a lot, and I probably just fit the narrative that they were looking for at that time for that season of show. So it just happened to work out that way, and I ended up getting a deal, which was a huge blessing because it happened. So okay, so I got into 4,000 CVS stores, which were not in CVS anymore because I pulled, but that's a whole nother conversation we could have for later. But I left CVS because it's pretty much this is a big cash cow, and if you're not toilet paper, it's not worth it. Pretty much, let's just say that. But either way, I pulled out of CVS now a few years later. But I just had entered in 4,000 CVS stores September 9th, and then September 30th, my show aired on Shark Tank. I had just signed the paperwork to receive the money and the deal, and then my daughter was born October 25th, that next month. So it was a lot of things that happened all at one time, and then kind of been just like coasting and just trying to keep up with it ever since then.
So is Mark Cuban a cool guy, man, or is he just trying to vulture you?
Nah,
What's up? I know you
no,
probably.
he's such a cool guy. I literally just talked to him like 2 days ago, through email. He's so cool, and the thing is that like people think that like they come in and take over your business and stuff. It's not like that at all. They're literally just investors. They literally just use their investment companies. They give you the money that they agree and that you agree to receive or whatever, and then that's pretty much it. But you have access to their teams. So if I need like tax accounting help, or if I feel like there's something with marketing, or if I feel like you know, really with anything that you need help with, you can just reach out and say, hey, look, I need help. I need direction. What should I do? How should I go about this? And then you have pretty much like a team of people who are willing to help you and give you the resources that you need in order to, continue moving your business forward.
Well, that's good. I'm
Yeah,
glad. I'm glad you're doing both of them.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I know. It's good.
yeah.
It's hard, but
It's
it's good.
Sire. It's Sire.Brax, right?
Yeah, yeah. Sire.Brax. SIRE.BRAX. Yep.
All right, word. Yeah, I mean, if we miss something, or if there's something like you feel like we should go over, and you got some time, I'll think of something. And if
Yeah,
you're
go ahead.
willing to
No,
do
I got a couple more minutes. She's not call, I trust me, she'll be yelling at the top of them steps when she's ready for me. So
it,
it's cool. If you want to ask me whatever, I'm an open book. I'm more than happy to answer questions, or if somebody in here wants to ask me something, I'm more than happy to answer any type of
okay.
questions.
All right. So, I guess, like as far as like politics is concerned, like was everything is everything left leaning, or is it like is there like a trans community that's right leaning, or is it like centered, or what do you how do you feel about things, or you just stay out of it?
I try to stay out of it because I feel like, oh God, I feel like because we're so right leaning, everybody in the community is a Democrat. Everybody, nobody wants Trump in office. Um, that's how the community feels as a whole. I feel like I could say, me personally, obviously it's it's so hard for me to talk about because publicly can get kind of crazy for me. But ultimately, let's just say,
'Cause I've seen,
yeah, let's just say prior to Trump being a president, I actually enjoyed Trump. Okay, he was someone that I actually like to watch, and I watch all his interviews and his golfing and everything. So he was actually someone that I like fancied prior to him being a president. Um, but as far as what's happening, with what's going on with like Project 25, and I don't even know all the details of it because what I like to what I like to do is, I focus on me. I need to make sure that I'm good. You know what I mean? Not saying that I don't want to protect my community because I do, and that's why I have my brand and everything else. But ultimately, if shit hits the fan, I know that I'm going to be protected because I have all my documents, all my ducks are in a row already. If shit ever hits the fan and they say no gender affirming care for adults, I already pass as a male. All it takes is me going to the endocrinologist and saying, hey, bro, my dick can't get hard. I feel depressed. I don't know what to do. They're going to say, let's check your blood work. When they check my blood work, it's going to show low T automatically if I haven't been on medication, and they're going to prescribe me the same medication that gender affirming care prescribes me for any regular biological male that has low testosterone takes the same exact medication that I do. So it's not going to be hard for me to obtain medication. So I'm personally not worried about anything that's happening right here because I know that I'm gonna be all right. But it is scary as a whole because my business is affected if they pull funding from the clinics and things that purchase from me in bulk order and all these other things. And obviously that can make an impact on me. It makes an impact on my community. And then it just doesn't make it safe for me overall. If I was to travel outside of New Jersey, if other states adopt these crazy laws, then things could get fucked up for me. But like I said, I'm a man. I fear God and I believe in God and I put my faith in God and I know that if He brought me this far, He's not going to leave me here. So whatever path that the Lord has for me, I know that I'm going to be all right. I'm already highly favored, highly blessed. So no matter what happens, I know that I'm going to be good. And if that means I have to come off my medication, then that's just what it means. I already know that my life is going to be all right because I already have that mentality of where I'm going to make a way. So I'll make a way. You know what I mean? A lot of people can't think like that because they're just not mentally strong. And I do feel for those people. But at the end of the day, it's survival of the fittest and you got to adapt to your environment. And that's what I do.
So you're taking the same testosterone that Joe Rogan and RFK Jr. and all of them is taking.
Well, okay. Well, it depends because there's different types of testosterone and people like do abuse it. There's like different ones, but if you are legitimately a biological male and you have low libido and you're 35 years old, you can't get it up, you're depressed, you have all these things, you may be experiencing low testosterone, which does come with age. Your testosterone drops off with age for men. And when the doctor prescribes you testosterone, it is the same exact medication that I'm taking. So I'm not, people always say, oh, you got a beard because you take Mad T. Like, no, that's not the case at all. My testosterone levels are of any regular 35-year-old male. My levels are just the same as yours. You know what I mean? And the only there's no difference. There's literally no difference. There's just no difference. People think that you take more to get a beard or something. Beard is all genetics, so um, it has nothing to do with your gender. It just depends on how your genetic makeup is, if you're hairy or not. I was always hairy. I was hairy prior to this. So having the beard and having the hair and all that doesn't it just comes with the territory of having extra testosterone in your body. That's all.
So yeah, no, I mean, because there's dudes out here that probably got high testosterone levels that just can't grow a beard. Just
Right.
not in
Yeah.
the.
Yeah. And too much testosterone will give you breasts, and it'll put you in a whole different. It can really fuck you up. I mean, that's why I try to express to people and try to teach people, like, the female body and the male body, they're so similar. Like, we all have testosterone, we all have estrogen. It's
Yeah.
just that when you're born, you have either more or less of the other, and that's what creates your genitals, and that's what brings you out to be a male or a female. But ultimately, it's all the same. You know what I mean? It's all the same.
So what was it like in the process of like taking the testosterone? Did it make you tired? Like the transition, when you're changing your body, like you're working out or doing anything, does it make you like? Is it like a lot on your body? Like do you
Um,
feel like it's
for
tough?
sure, for
Like
sure. Yeah, for sure. No, it's crazy. Uh, when you first start the hormones, it is an emotional ride because obviously I was born female, so my estrogen is high because that's what my body is producing. And then when you start taking testosterone, the testosterone will suppress down that estrogen. And now the testosterone is pretty much fighting the estrogen. So there is a period of time where it's like, it's really hard. Like, your mood is all over the place. Like, you're sad, you're happy, you're angry. Like, I like to tell people when I first started, and maybe some of y'all on here, some of y'all guys probably can attest to this, but like, when you're a female and you have emotion, the emotion is felt throughout your entire body. So when I was a female and I would get, or let's just say when I identified as a female, and I would get angry or upset or emotional, my entire body would be encompassed by emotion. But when you're a male, the emotion is more centered in your chest. So that was something that I could definitely see the shift on, is that when I would become angry, or like if I would heighten emotion for whatever situation, it would come more like a ugh, like from the center of me, rather than like my entire body, if that makes any sense. Um, so I knew that was like one of the big things I felt. And then the other thing obviously is, like, when you're on testosterone, you're just like extremely horny. That's just, I think, that just comes with the territory. So I really started to have a different respect for like little boys, because basically when you start T, you're like a little boy and you're going through puberty, and women are always like, why is he running around and chasing after this little girl? Like, why is he doing that? And why is he being fresh and all that? But like, in reality, he can't help it. Like, he really honestly cannot help all of that raging testosterone that he's building in his body. It's just something that you can't kind of get away from. And obviously I've been on T for a while now, so you know, I'm able to, control myself. But at first it was just like, oh shit, like, I'm horny all the time, and you just want to masturbate and all that shit, like, just like how regular cis males do. But women don't understand that concept because they just think that you're being horny and nasty. But in reality, it's literally something that men cannot control. Um, and yeah, it's just totally different. Like, having the perspective of a man and then having the perspective of a woman is just so wild. It really is, like, it's very crazy. It's
It's like
very
that
crazy.
movie Predestination. If you ever seen it,
Say
I
that
don't know if you
again?
ever seen. You ever seen that movie Predestination?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, you should watch that. It's like
I gotta watch it
know,
then. I gotta watch
yeah,
it. I gotta
it's about
watch it.
yeah, it's dope. It's about like the transition and everything, and it's dope. You gotta see it. I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah,
Predestination, but
yeah, no, I'll have to look at that then. But yeah, it's crazy. I feel like there's like a secret society amongst men. I do feel like that. because I just feel like women can't understand how a man thinks, and the testosterone really puts me in that position where I can understand that, and it's very, very unique in a sexual way. Very unique.
Yeah, I bet you could give a lot of insight to your daughter about how to, how this is going to be facing from men. But
Yes, for sure.
because you've seen both sides. So,
Yes,
so
yes, for sure.
if you were to get off the tee, or have you ever experimented getting off it for a minute? Like, how does it affect you? Like, and you say like your ID is a male now. It
Yes,
says
all
male.
my birth certificate, my ID, my passport, my social, everything has been transferred over here in New Jersey, to mail, so that I don't have any, issues or whatever. But what was the original question again? I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say like if you were to get off of the tee, like,
Oh
is
yeah,
there a period? Is like a point where you're like, all right, I need that right now, or
yeah, no,
or is it or is your body just already like kind of just now in a different equilibrium?
okay. So for me, because I haven't had a hysterectomy, so if I stop T for a long period of time, what happens is one, I can get a period again, which is terrible. So you don't want that, because when you're on T, you don't get a period at all. It just 100% stops. I haven't had one in a decade or 8 years or whatever. But it can start again, and I've been to the point where I've stopped T for so long where I start to get like cramps and all that, and it's no fun. It's no good. So I don't like that, because it comes with pain. And again, because if I stop the T and I still have a functioning uterus, the estrogen will start to overtake, which will then start to make me that emotional female creature, and I will start to feel like that again, which is horrible, because I don't want to feel like that. It's just really, it just puts you. I don't want to say it's horrible. It just makes you super emotional. Like women, they'll cry over anything because it's the estrogen. It's really not. I don't want to say it's not them. It's them, but it's estrogen makes you so emotional. And when you have an abundance of that in your body, everything just bothers you more. Everything is just, especially for me, maybe because of who I am. Maybe that's the reason why I feel that way. But ultimately, it just makes me extremely emotional, extremely saddened, to the point where I'm just like, bro, I'm just like, I don't have my confidence. I'm not functioning at the highest peak that I know I could be functioning at. Like, everything is bothering me. Like, I don't feel like confident, none of those things. So it just really brings me down when I stop the tea for an extended period of time. Like, if I miss a week or two, no problem. But if I'm missing like 3 months worth of tea, then I'm gonna put myself into a position where I'm emotionally unstable, because my body is now diminishing all the testosterone, and my estrogen is now coming to take back over, and then I have to go through that phase again where I need the testosterone to level me back out, and then it might take a few weeks, and then once I'm coasting again, then I'm good again. So it's like one of those things which I don't like to do and I don't recommend, because obviously you don't want your body battling itself like that. That's just not healthy. So I try to stay on top of my medication as best as I can, but I went through a period of time where, my daughter, I'm just living my life, and I just wasn't refilling my medication. I wasn't going to the doctor, and I was just putting it off, and I ended up not having what I needed. So, you know, but
So yeah, yeah, I can imagine, man. I mean, I know like since I know you hit the gym and everything, and I know testosterone is how we heal, whether you're a man or female
right.
or however you. So
Yeah.
like, did it? I guess do you feel it in your gym performance?
Um, for sure. Yeah. 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 I feel it in the gym, because you're already mentally not there. I don't want to say that, like, I don't think it really makes a physical difference, because, like you said, like, there's women who are bigger than me in the gym. Shit.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it really can alter your physical appearance. But I feel like mentally it messes with me personally because I know that, I'm just at a different emotional state than where I could be at if I was on the tee and feeling like at my best. So yeah, I feel like the tee really just like makes me coast. Like it puts me in this position where like I don't want to say like I don't give a shit, but that's kind of how I be feeling. Just
Yeah,
like relax. Yeah.
I guess that's guys. I guess
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
guys. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
So,
just how it is. Like I'm just like, all right, I'm just chilling. I'm not bothered by too much. Things don't really push me off. I mean, when I get mad, I probably really get mad, but that also has to be with like being a Taurus and other characteristics. So I
yeah,
think that, those things come into play. But, overall, I just feel like I'm more coasting and I do feel better in the gym when I'm on the tee. But I just think that's just because it just makes me feel better overall. I don't think it has anything to do with gym or not gym.
yeah. True. Do you? So you're never gonna get the hysterectomy?
No, I do want the hysterectomy. I just been bullshitting because, um, I like my work is crazy right now. I'm the only one who still runs my whole business, so for me to take off like 6 weeks, it's just too much for me to do that. So I just haven't done it yet, but it is something that I do eventually want to do so that if I do stop taking tea for a certain period of time, then I'm not really running into those emotional problems like we talked about. It'll take a lot longer for me to like, feel that extreme emotional change because I won't be producing any more estrogen. So that's why I do want it, but ultimately, like I don't want like bottom surgery or nothing like that. But I would get a hysterectomy because that's like a safe procedure that I can do and be okay with. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember a friend of mine got his wife got a hysterectomy. She was back to work. Like you said, it wasn't that long. It wasn't that bad
Yeah,
of
no,
a surgery.
you're not down for that long at all. But I just haven't honestly just put the time into like doing it, but eventually I'll get there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, it seems like that would be a lot to try to like you said, kind of like have to counter it with doing what it wants to do. I guess cyclically, the the uterus and everything.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
mm.
yeah.
So like as far as like you know God is concerned, like, do you go to church?
No, I don't want to say that I have a specific religion. I just like to say that I have a one-on-one relationship with my higher power. And that I just keep it like that because I feel like, outside voices, only penetrate how I'm feeling, and I don't need an outside voice to tell me what I'm hearing from God. But that doesn't mean that I don't like listening to the word because every single day I listen to the word. There are certain pastors and stuff that I do listen to on a daily basis that uplift me and like leadership and things like that that I do like to listen to. But ultimately, like I don't go to church. I just know that I pray every day. I know that I have a one-on-one relationship with God.
Yeah, I was just asking, like, just because I was like, man, do you face any hate at the churches? Have you had to switch churches or anything like that? But I
No,
guess if
no,
you
no, no. And I went to damn, but the thing is, nah, I don't even think like, and even if I did go to the church, they don't know that I'm trans. They
true,
don't know. They don't know unless I tell them.
yeah,
That's what that's like the best part though. Like, like going back to when you were talking about like hate and stuff. Like when I used to be at work, I would talk to different nurses and stuff, right? And they would have no idea that I was trans. Like people at my job that I work with, some of them knew, some of them didn't. It just depends. But there would be a lot of nurses that would come in that didn't know. And we would be talking about everything under the sun, like the barbershop. And they would be like, these fucking trans kids and these trans people trying to take over and like talking hella shit about trans people, like really, really, really going in, right? And I like
damn,
that. Yeah, I like that though. I like it because it gives me the opportunity to kind of shift perspectives, and so I let them go in. I talk shit with them. We'd be laughing. And then I'll be like, you do know that I'm trans, right? And they'll be like, get the fuck out of here, Brags, blah, blah, blah. And we be going back and forth. And they really don't believe me. And then I'd be like, let me just show y'all some pictures real quick. And then of course I bust out all the good pictures of me. And then they're just like their mind, like I had this one lady literally cry afterwards because she felt so bad. And I'm like, don't be upset. Like that is why I'm here having the conversation with you. And that's why I'm here to change your perspective on things. Like you don't know who you're in the presence of or who you're talking to. So just be mindful of how you're talking about certain things and your perspective, because she didn't even know trans. She just didn't like them just because of the media and the news and what she heard, but she's never met a trans person in her entire life until, you know, I told her that I was trans. And she just, like, even till this day, she still reaches out to me on Facebook and stuff. I don't even work there anymore. And she's just like, I love you so much. And I'm just so thankful I met you and blah, blah, blah. And like all that stuff. And I'm just like, you know, for me, it's fun because, you know, some people can say it's very scary for me and I could be, you know, violently attacked and all these things. But I feel like when you present with love and you radiate an energy that, you know, you're okay with who you are, it allows that person who is receiving that radiant energy to feel the same exact way. But if I was a type of trans person, like most trans people who enter into a room and they automatically are like, he doesn't like me because I'm trans, they're going to judge me because I'm trans, they're already pressing all that energy out onto the room. So people are going to stare at them like they're trans. People are going to stare at them like something's wrong with them because you're already carrying that energy with you. And I don't carry that. So I always feel like I get a positive return because that's all I'm willing to give out.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, you break the mold in a lot of ways because I know people have their like preconceived notions about like what makes a person transition or whatever. But you're a
Right.
good-looking woman, you know.
Yeah.
You're a good-looking woman. It's not like, you know, it's
Right.
not like you I feel like you could have, you know, carried on that way, and you know, you would have got a man or do whatever you wanted to do, like
Right.
in those shoes. You
Right.
know, it's not like it wasn't an option. Because I feel like
Right.
sometimes, you know, they show you examples, and it's like, man, this person was never gonna ever.
Make it.
They had no option.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's like
Yeah.
somebody. You know,
It's
yeah,
so
it's
it's
like
so
somebody.
crazy because sometimes like we be talking, I be talking to my wife sometimes, some of my friends, I'd be like, sometimes I wish I could have just stayed that life and just had a nice man taking care of me and shit like that. I've been all right. I would have been all right. You know what I mean? But that just I just couldn't do it. I mean, it's a nice life, you know, that's a nice life, but it just wasn't for me. So I just couldn't do it. Like I just can't do it. It's just weird. Like I feel weird being in that position, even though that's how I was born as. It's just like I always felt like out of place, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know what you know, I don't know your experience, like, but I guess I get the essence of that situation where like I've been around white people and they just be talking crazy about black people because they just think I'm one of them, and I'll
Right.
be like, yo,
You got me
y'all are
fucked up.
talking so.
Right. Got me fucked up. Way fucked up. Right. Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I feel you. No, I feel you. But it's cool though when you can kind of, you know, help people out and people just they just don't know. They're just ignorant. And I don't hold it against anybody because I was once ignorant towards transgender people. So who am I to judge someone who hasn't had, you know, the opportunity to meet a trans person, you know, and have them change their experience or have them, you know, be educated a little bit just to change their perspective. So it doesn't bother me when people say they don't like trans people or something like that because I'm just like, you just don't know anybody who's trans and all you see is drag queens and you're worried about little Tommy and Sarah at home and I totally understand that. You know what I mean? So it doesn't penetrate me like it penetrates other people because I just know that it's all a learning experience and you know, some people, you know, it's just like one of those things, I guess.
I mean, more than anything, man, I really wanted to talk to you because, like I said, like it's always been love since I know you. You know, I mean, 20 some years now. Like, and I
Yeah,
felt like,
yeah,
man, damn, like, Brax might not even fuck with me, like, cause you know, just the, you know, how polarized politics is, and I might have said some shit, and I'm like, man, I don't, you know, no matter what the situation is, or
right,
you know, I feel like I don't hate this person, and I feel like it shouldn't be hate or animosity here. So I
right,
feel like I wanted to have this conversation because, like, I mean, it's not too many people in life that's gonna care about you, no matter what they are, black, white, in between, man, woman,
Right.
trans. There's not many people that genuinely give a fuck,
Right.
So
Yeah.
I felt like, I don't want to just lose a person because, because the net or whatever, like, because some hard line, in society or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, damn, because I wanted to reach out before, and I'm like, damn, Brax might not even answer me. He might leave me on red. I don't know.
Nah, I got you. No, you know that you know how much love I have for you. That's never changed. That's never changed. We've been close for a very long time, and I still feel that love. I remember you when you want to even say the word love. You remember that? You remember way back then? You remember way back then? You won't even
Yeah,
say it. I would tell you all the time. I said, "There's love in there, boy." I tell you, there's love in there. There's love in there. Okay.
yeah,
And I remember all that. I won't forget that. I remember we used to talk on the phone and everything. I don't forget any of that. I hold those things dear to me because that's what made my childhood. And you were a big part of my life, man. And I love you and I always appreciate you.
yeah. It's always love, man. Like, I feel like I'm really privileged to have known you, met you young as I was, because, like I said, man, you're a very bright person, and I feel like, um, I was still had insecurities and things in myself, things I hadn't processed or had even occurred to me. And I'm just grateful that I got to meet you so I could, you could shake me out of some of that shit when I was young because I
Yeah,
was, I was hemmed up out of fear. So, I
yeah.
mean, I'm glad I got to know you in this lifetime.
Yes, no, likewise. And we can continue the convo. I think I hear a little knock up there, but we can talk again. We can talk whenever you want to. You can hit me up, at any time. I'm always here. You see me out here acting crazy. So, just let
Word,
me just let me know and I'm here for you.
word, yeah, I know you got daddy duties, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know I had you longer than the time and everything.
Nah,
And
it's cool. It's cool. I had a good time. I had a really good time. I had a
yeah, I'm
really
glad we could yeah, yeah, man. I guess you kiss the little one goodnight then. I appreciate you so much, Brax, man. We gotta do it again, man. I gotta really, draw some shit up or whatever, and we could maybe touch on some things that maybe we missed or something. But I'm glad we could get this going.
Yeah, no, for sure, 100%. Yeah, anytime, let me know if people want to come back and hear more. I am so for it. I love this shit, so I'm all in.
Word, yeah, because they need to hear that voice. I don't think many people hear that. And it's always really extreme the way it's portrayed. So I think people need to
It's
hear that
always
voice.
it's always crazy. That's why I like to do this because I feel like people need to see like we're not all like that. Okay? Like we're not all like that.
Yeah,
But every community has, you know, their bunch. You know what I'm saying? And then there's people who are just trying to live a life, and I'm just one of those people who are just trying to live a life. So, um, I like to share that with others so that they realize we're not all out here trying to scare your women in the bathroom or trying to take over everybody. You know what I mean? We just want to live a regular life.
yeah. Nah, every culture got its creators and got its parasites, and I'm glad that we. I know you're a creator. You've always been, so I'm glad we can connect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. All right, brother. Mad love, and we'll chat more.
All right then, so Lou, man, check out the predestination when
Yes.
you.
All right. Peace out, y'all.
Peace. Yeah, so I'm gonna have a live tonight by myself. I gotta check into my Airbnb in a little bit. I'm gonna do this live tonight, probably about an hour or so, and then I got another live probably tomorrow with Forrest Wilson, and then another live Thursday with my man Taylor. His name's Taylor. He's from Texas, and I've known him for a little bit now. So yeah, I got some more heat coming for the night, man. I think I'm gonna put this one up publicly on YouTube in general, just because I think um it'll be on Patreon, patreon.com/Taylor Durden. But I'm gonna crank out a bunch of material in this next week, so that'll be on the Patreon exclusively. But that right there, I think I gotta put that up publicly on YouTube. So forgive me, patrons, for having to make that one public immediately. So like I said, y'all entitled to at least 4 hours a month for $4, and I'm gonna just keep them coming. And I got a bunch of shit to talk about, man, from the Super Bowl to today. Bunch of shit, all everything throughout the over the last month, the last moon cycle, or yeah, about the last moon cycle or so. So yeah, I'll see y'all. I'll see y'all later, man. And thank you for tuning in, man. I'll post when I'm gonna go live again. Have a good night, or catch me on the Patreon. Patreon.